What's up, everybody? I'm Shane Brennan. I'm here with me, Andrea, and I am very honored to be interviewing the incomparable Joe P, formerly of Deal Casino fame, now breaking out as a single star. Joe, how you doing?
What's up? How you doing? Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah,
Totally.
of course.
So we're going to start off with so in September you announced that Deal Casino was breaking up.
Mhm.
So what motivated you to continue to make music after the breakup of Deal Casino?
I guess it's like it's it's been one of those things where it's always just the thing I do. Like I just have to. It's who I am. I've wanted to do it since I was little. So like it wasn't. I had never had a second thought of like, oh, what will I do now? It was just kind of like, whoa, the way I imagined it has really, really changed. But um, I'm still here. Like I'm still the person that has to keep doing this, So it was weird. It was like this moment of like panic, and then the next day it felt more like, all right, well now it's just kind of more freedom. Like now it's just you can kind of do literally whatever you want because there's no one here to tell you, like what to do and what not to do. Um, so yeah, I just have to kind of reimagine the whole thing, but nothing changed really in a weird way. Like it's still just like me sitting here making music every day, like locked in my basement. So.
Yeah, and that definitely shows too because you picked up TikTok as a platform this year too, like during
Yeah.
quarantine, everybody else. So, what kind of drew you to that in the first place and inspired you to use that as a new platform?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't remember the moment. I guess like with the band, we had one because I was like, oh, let me make one, whatever. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. But it was more of like, I don't, there was something where when it was the band, I felt less inclined to do things like, oh, here's just me singing alone, like the lead singer guy. Like I hated that. Like when we would do photo shoots, I would always be like, put me like in the middle or the back. Like I didn't like overdoing the lead singer thing. But now it's just me. So I was like, all right, I'll just throw up little videos of me playing guitar and singing little song ideas that I've written or whatever. Um, and in doing that, it was just like there's no effort to it. Like it was very little effort, and I got a lot out of it in the sense that a bunch of people connected with it, or one of them like went viral or whatever. And it was like it was crazy that in 10 seconds with my phone for free, I kind of achieved more reach, as far as like gaining an audience or whatever, than like going on tour for like months or whatever. It's just so it was this thing where I was like, all right, I guess this thing isn't so because I thought of TikTok as like you just like dance on it and do kind of like funny skits and things like that. And the music stuff I did see on there seemed so like commercially, like car commercial, like the way people are trying to like jam it down your throat. Um, so I was like, all right, this isn't that bad if I just have to put my phone up and just play that's what I'd be doing anyway, so I might as well film 10 seconds of it. And yeah, so I just started doing it and it was it's fun. So now I just kind of work it into whatever I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I'm working on this anyway. I guess I'll just hit record, upload it. Like I try not to put too much thought into it because then it becomes like, it's like anything else. Like it just becomes like you've ruined what's good about it, So yeah, it's been cool. I don't remember like what made me do it. I probably just out of like there's nothing else to do. I was just sitting here and I was like, man, I need something to do. And obviously everyone's talking about it and it's just exploding. But yeah.
That's very cool. So during this quarantine over the summer, how have you and like other artists within your same scene, like both on the shore and like in in the state as a whole, how have you managed to forge ahead with a summer without concerts?
It's weird. It's like we were on tour in March, the day it was like getting really, really bad, like the beginning of this. Where like the day where if you think back to it, no one knew what was coming, kind of thing.
Yeah, everybody remembers that day. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
March
so
13th
weird.
or something.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's just gonna be like a weird 2 week inconvenience or whatever. But
Happy
it
six
was,
month anniversary to two
I
weeks to crush the
know,
curve.
so crazy. But yeah, so we were on tour and it was like we were about to go. It was like I forget where we were, but it was time to go to Chicago. And it was like, all right, do we go or do we like call it? Like, we're going further away from New Jersey and it's going to take longer to get home. And more importantly, if they do start shutting stuff down, we're going to be stuck further away. So we decided like, let's just go home. This is stupid. And we're going into like a major city. Like it was like, this is the decision to like not keep going. So we went home or whatever. And then, yeah, it was just this whole time. It was weird, and I think that had a lot to do with why the band kind of broke up or whatever is because shows are like a really good distraction, if that makes sense. Like when you play a show, as like a me or musician, whatever artist, it's very like rewarding immediately. You play a show and you immediately feel like you achieved something. You're doing the thing that you love doing, and that's the initial reason you got interested in it, right? So like when you're 6 years old playing Led Zeppelin covers or whatever in like your friend's dad's garage, like that's still is the thing that you always want, is like that feeling of like just playing music to play music and that's it. But as it goes on, a lot of other factors come into play where it's like you need to worry about traveling and you got to tour and growing your audience and all that stuff really ruins it and takes away a lot of the great things. So when you play a show for 30 minutes, it feels like you're there again and you feel great and it's like a high. Um, so when that goes away, all the other things are just sitting there and it's like, okay, well, there's nothing to do. It feels like there's no purpose, right? So it's like, I think with the band, it just got very like, what do we do? Everyone just kind of felt, and I'm always like creating music, but usually there's like a lead creator in that process. And especially with the quarantining, it was like we weren't getting together very much. And it was like everyone probably just started like losing their minds and like, what are we doing? Whereas I was like, what do you mean? I thought this is like, I'm still doing the same thing I was always doing. But it's just different for everyone. The playing the show part is like a nice constant, like every once in a while it just kind of like keeps you satisfied to be able to deal with like the awful things that come with playing music, because there are a lot of things that are just like, you know having a call with an A&R person is like such sometimes just the worst thing, because you're just talking about music in this way that's so gross, and like it's just, you're not supposed to be, it's not like I'm not the kind of person that should be in that situation talking about those things, because like I'm the creator of it. So but you have no choice. um but so it's been weird not playing shows, but at the same time, with the whole TikTok thing, it's taught me a lot about how it's, like you get a lot out of playing shows, but you don't really achieve that much as far as like growing your audience or progressing. It just feels good. It's just like a really fun thing to do. So it's been weird, but like, and I'm excited to play, whenever that day comes. But it's been kind of nice just having to, like, it doesn't feel as much like a rat race of like looking around and, oh, this person's on tour, and it makes you feel like you're not doing enough and you should, start playing more shows. So it's been nice literally only waking up and focusing on like eating food, playing music, or like writing and recording music and going to sleep. Like that's literally every day. And that's cool because usually you like set time away from touring to focus on that. And now it's like, this is everything. So I've just been doing so much of it that it's nice because you don't get so precious about it. Like when I write and record a song, and I'm done with it, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like let's get to the next one because there's nothing else to do. Whereas when you are mixing that with and balancing it with touring and doing all kinds of things, it's like when you record, it's such a big deal, and you have these 10 songs and they have to be perfect. And so because it's like your few months to focus on it. So it's been cool just kind of only having to create and kind of do the fun stuff in a way.
Yeah, and you mentioned like constantly creating, and the work that you put out during quarantine has been incredible, by the way.
Thank you.
And then you have your new song, Middle Class Dream, coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
So what kind of inspired that writing process, and what motivated you to make that song?
That song was a really quickly recorded song. It was late at night. It was like 3 a.m. I was about to give up, like a day of not coming up with anything kind of thing. And I was just kind of like doing something, and all of a sudden I hit this cool note, and then I started playing the bass line to it on a keyboard, and it was like, oh, and it just happened in like a few hours, and it was done. And I don't remember. I lived in Asbury Park at the time. I'm in Red Bank, New Jersey right now. And my windows are they were like the worst windows ever. So the air would just blow right in. And so the first line to it is something along the lines of like the cold blowing through the window or something. And I was like freezing. So it's just like, I think it was very cold. It's a cold song, if that makes sense. And it came from literally being cold, and like that whole feeling made a lot of sense at the time. But now it's funny because that was way before the quarantine even happened, and it makes a lot of sense. The lyrics all really make sense now, I feel like, and people should, I would think, connect with them through just kind of being stuck in one place is kind of what it's about, I guess. But yeah, and I was actually just making a stupid TikTok video about how there's a toothbrush on that recording because I was listening to it the day after I finished it, brushing my teeth, and my electric toothbrush made the same note that was like the key of the song, and I was like, I should probably record this. And that's before quarantine, so I was already losing my mind. So that's not good. But yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. So it was just, and in that way of recording is so much fun. I think like going to a studio is cool, but it sucks all the life out of it and kind of like puts all this pressure on it. But like now, every day is like that toothbrush day where I'm just like sitting here eating like a bowl of oatmeal and just being like, oh, like I'm just gonna like this is a cool sound. Like I'm gonna. It's very like making a demo where you're not so pressured because it's not the final thing. But now everything's the final thing, so it's like it's kind of just fun being loose and creative with everything.
That's awesome. So, looking at your social media, I noticed that there's a trend. Both of your handles on Instagram and Twitter include hyenas.
Yeah.
Can you explain where the hyenas came from?
Yeah, where did they come from? So when it was time to come up with a new handle, I was like, I don't really know. And obviously Joe P was such a generic thing that I was like, there's no way this isn't going to be taken. I tried every type of like underscore slash whatever number thing. It just, none of it was available. There's so many Joe P's in the world. And I don't know. It was like, my manager said something along the lines of like, yeah, it could be anything. Joe P underscore, a number. And he's like, you could put like, or you could put your favorite, like Joe P loves avocados. He's like, it doesn't matter. And he was just saying that kind of as a joke, as like you can do anything. And then I remember him saying that and was like, all right, I'll just do something like that. Cause it's just, no one's going to have whatever the thing I come up with is. And my favorite animal is a hyena. And I was like, I'm just going to, and it's a cool looking word. And I was like, whatever, let's do it. And now I'm like, man, I should have just called myself that. Like my artist name, just Joe P the hyena. But yeah, so that's it. It's a simple like there's no other way to use Joe P. And it's not Joe P the hyena on TikTok. That's the only thing because somehow that was available there. But I was like, man, maybe I should just change on there too. But yeah, everyone asks me about hyenas now, and they're always sending me photos of hyenas and like baby hyenas, and I'm like, I love hyenas, but it's just hilarious that people are like, you must really love hyenas, like obsessed.
It's just become your brand now.
Yeah, that's my brand. I'm gonna have to come out with some kind of merch, I'm sure, and whatever. But now I'm scared. I have to know like everything about them. I'm sure. Like, I need
People are
some
gonna stop you on the street and just quiz you about hyenas.
They're gonna be like, you better know everything. And you'd be like, no, don't. But it's true. It's more so just a last minute decision of like, I gotta come up with something, and I like hyenas. Like that's as simple as it is. But I understand. I owe people a little more than that, so I need to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that before, but I mean, it's obviously become something that kind of like defines you. And then also, we were looking through your social media and we saw that you mentioned a lot of artists like Kurt Cobain pretty frequently. So, along with Kurt, who else was some of your musical inspirations or icons that you grew up listening to and that motivated you to make music?
I get like the first thing I got into when I was really little, like, well, really, I don't know. I guess I was into like top 40 pop music when I was really little, before I played instruments. And then once I heard like my dad listening to some kind of rock and roll record or whatever, I was like, ooh, that's cool. And started playing guitar, but I didn't take lessons or anything. So I would actually play the guitar with my thumb, like above like this, because I was too scared. I didn't know how to play chords or anything. So like everything was just me on basically the first string of a guitar. And I got into like bluesy stuff, I guess, because that's like the first guitar world that you can kind of easily get into. And if that clicks with you, it's good because that's the foundation of kind of everything. So yeah, I got into just kind of like that blues rock world, like the classic rock Led Zeppelin thing. And then eventually it just got a little more, I got more into songwriting and just less into like playing guitar. So I got into things like, obviously the Beatles, kind of just like at first you hear the Beatles as just like classic rock, and then eventually it clicks that it's like timeless songwriting that no one has ever beaten to this day, and it's like, so the Beatles are probably the biggest one because they just do everything perfectly. But yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Jeff Buckley. It's really good. Classic songwriting like Neil Young is really good to listen to. Obviously Fleetwood Mac, but now I feel like listening to Fleetwood Mac is like listening to like Cardi B. Like it's just everyone, it's like this new thing and it's so weird. But yeah, I don't know. And I really love like St. Vincent, like people like that, where the songs kind of have a thing that you can't really define it too easily. Like there's something about it, or like Beck, because it's like you're not sure. It's like I don't know what genre it is. It's not as simple as like this is a rock band, you know. And that's kind of one of the things I'm happy about not being in the band anymore. It was like when you're in a band, you kind of have to sound like the band you're in, if that makes sense, which it doesn't. But like you have to, everyone does their thing, and it's like that person's going to drum the way they drum, play guitar the way they play, and you're going to be like the Strokes. You're going to just sound like that thing. So now that it's just me, it's not that simple because it's like I have to kind of do everything one piece at a time, and I'm not like anything besides a guitar player, I guess you could say. So and a singer. So really, all the other things are just me kind of like fumbling around trying stuff. And so yeah, it was like I just literally do it piece by piece. And I'm like, oh, this turned out to be more of like a St. Vincent kind of song, or like Lana Del Rey, or Bjork, or something kind of weirder. But it's always just a little different. So it's been kind of cool just like exploring that and not being too tied down to anything in a way. But yeah.
That's really cool. So, a hypothetical. If you got to choose any place to play live once it's completely safe to do so again, you get to choose any place. Where would it be and why?
I guess it would have to be like Madison Square Garden because it's just like so filled up with history, and it's like I've walked past it so many times, and it's Madison Square Garden, you know. So that would be great, but I probably won't be able to do that right away. That's on the bucket list. Yeah, I don't know, something like that, or like Red Rocks is always like, you know. But truthfully, something that is more obtainable. There's a place called Kilby Court in Salt Lake City, Utah, and it's just for some reason that's the best venue, like the best, and it's just this tiny little crappy like house, like a shack almost, and it just has a stage in it, and all these people show up, and it's just for some reason people also in Salt Lake City go crazy, like those kids go nuts at shows. And it's weird because when you go on tour, you think playing in like the cool places will be the best shows, like New York, Nashville, LA. And those are the worst shows because everyone there thinks they're really, really cool and like the gatekeepers of what is good and cool. So those shows are a bit weird because you're kind of trying. It's like you're playing for like A&R people and like trying to impress them as they stand there like this. But Salt Lake City is always just crazy, and you're in the middle of nowhere. It kind of feels like, and it's just this nice feeling. So realistically, there, a little tiny shack that's like made out of tin cans.
Yeah, I've always seen a lot of bands talk about Kilby Court. It's definitely a bucket list venue for me too.
It's so fun.
Then another like fun question, I guess. What's your favorite album from 2020? Like, what's your album of the year?
Oh wow, album of the year. That's pretty good. There's a few. Hang on, let me just pull up my Spotify. I don't know. What are you guys? What are your guys' favorites?
My album of the year is probably Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers.
Okay, that's really good.
Mine is the new Strokes one.
Oh, the new Strokes one was good.
Yeah.
It was actually really cool. What is it? At the Door, Right at the Door, or whatever, that song?
At the Door is my favorite song off it. It's called The New Abnormal.
So good. Yeah, At the Door.
So good.
It's
so
cool.
good.
It's so different. Like, it doesn't sound like... I mean, obviously, as soon as he sings, it just sounds like the Strokes, right? But, like, that song was so weird and wacky and, like...
It was perfect.
So yeah.
It's so different. That's literally... that sounds nothing like the Strokes have ever sounded before.
Yeah, it's insane. All right. I'm going to go with... this is one of my top three, I'd say, is the Slow Rush by Tame Impala. The new, I mean, it's kind of new, yeah, it was just really good to listen to. It was it's always good to throw on and just kind of like get ideas from, more so than like, because Tame Impala to me is this weird thing where you don't really listen to Tame Impala to listen to a song in particular, right? It's kind of like Lana Del Rey, like where you put that on because you want to put on that whole mood, because it's just a good, very specific thing that nothing else has ever gotten close to. And I don't know, I love that. And I like that it's kind of, because to me, it's weird. Listening to music is weird for me, because when I listen to songs, I'm always thinking so hard about like why it's a great song and, oh, that's so good, and the production or whatever. So with Tame Impala, it's like you can kind of slip away a little more and kind of just get lost in the soundscape of it, and you don't really know what he's saying ever, which is kind of cool. So you're not really like swayed by that, and it's kind of nice. Yeah, I don't know. So I got kind of like deep into that, and the production. I did end up getting into the production kind of side of that because he's very like one man band as well. So I've been really getting into like Kevin Parker as a whole, just because he's doing it. But yeah, probably that.
So I think that should wrap it up. Thank you for joining us again. Thank you so much. Middle Class Dream out Friday, November 20th. Do check it out. Is it going to be on Spotify and Apple Music
that.
and all those?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Check it out there. Thank you so much, Joe P, for joining us, and have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.